Excellent. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Committee of the Whole meeting of Fernie City Council for January 16th, 2024. Kisukukit, we'd like to acknowledge that the city of Fernie is located within Kukinamakis, the unceded territory of Yakutat Nucleat. We recognize that we live and work within their vast lands. Akanahunik are from Yakutat Nucleat and are members of the Tanaha-speaking peoples of British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana. I'll call the meeting to order and ask for an approval of the agenda and any late items. Moved by Councillor Audia Kelly, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. I'll now open the floor to public participation and invite the public in attendance or participating electronically who wish to comment on items listed on the meeting agenda in accordance with Section 3.7.3 of the procedure bylaw to address council, except speakers must not address council regarding a matter for which a public hearing must be held or has been held pursuant to the Local Government Act prior to council's consideration of the matter or adoption of the bylaw. Speakers must not address council regarding a permit for which public notice must be given or has been given pursuant to the Local Government Act prior to council's consideration of issuance of the permit. And a speaker may only address council for a maximum of 3 minutes. And I'll ask Ms. Rhodes if there's anybody online who's expressed an interest. Thank you. And I'm getting a bit of feedback from that speaker. It's maybe a bit loud. Thanks, Michael. We'll move on to item number 6, delegations and other presentations. And we have a tech delegation to introduce Mr. Rory O'Connor, Manager of Social Responsibility. Welcome. And you have 10 minutes, Mr. O'Connor.
Thank you, Worship. Good evening, members of council, and I think we're not a ton of members of the public here, but staff as well. Good evening. Thank you for having us. Just going to share the screen here. And everyone, I think, can see that presentation. As you mentioned, Your Worship, my name is Rory O'Connor. I'm the Manager of Social Responsibility at Tech, based in the Sparwood office here. Thanks for having us. The approach tonight, we just wanted to come before you. We'd actually look to schedule some time in December, really just to do a bit of a year in review, ensure that we have an opportunity to give you a chance to ask any questions of Tech and get an update on our activities from the year that was in 2023. I am joined here tonight by my colleague, Norm Fraser. Norm is the engagement manager for the Fording River Extension Project. Norm has a portion of the presentation that he'll give to you as well. And online, we do have Dennis Kramer, who's the program director of our water operations, and he is, I believe, on the line. Dennis isn't going to make any part of the presentation for the PowerPoint, but he is available to answer any questions that you may have as we go. So the big news in 2023, and we waited till just after the Remembrance Day weekend to make a big announcement, but you will have seen in the news by now that Tech has reached agreement with Glencore, a Swiss mining company, who have large operations actually in Canada as well, about 140,000 employees around the world, but 9,000 or so of them already in Canada. Predominantly a metals and trading company. They also have assets in the agriculture business. And we've reached an agreement to sell 77% of the steelmaking coal business, or all of the coal assets here in the Elk Valley, as well as a couple of peripheral assets as well, to Glencore. The transaction is expected to take until about the third quarter of this year to be approved. It does have to go through an Investment Canada Act or federal government review, which is underway at the present time. So far, I've been getting a few normal transactional questions as part of that review. And so far, all indications are that things appear to be on track and as we would expect. As part of the news release with the transaction, something that was quite unique in these sorts of instances was quite a large appendix to the news release, which included 28 undertakings, essentially commitments that Glencore has agreed to as part of the sale. And so I've listed several of them that might be of interest to the council and residents of Fernie on the slide there. But one of the most important things to emphasize is that existing commitments that Teck has in place to the environment, to our communities, to our Indigenous partners remain in place, and Glencore is very excited about it. We did have an opportunity, Your Worship, you attended a meeting along with some of your other mayoral colleagues from the region, a meeting with Glencore executives just after the announcement to really hear directly from them. We're very encouraged by, I think, that the tone and the approach, the excitement they have for the business. They recognize that this is a very strong, stable business, recognize it's important here in the region and its importance to the steelmaking coal industry around the world. And we're very excited to sort of reach this agreement with Glencore and see it progress as we go. You might be wondering where the other 23% of the company is headed. And that transaction is actually complete. 20% of the company will be naming the new asset Elk Valley Resources. 20% is in the hands of a company called Nippon Steel, a steel producer from Japan, with the other 3% a South Korean company called POSCO. I should point out to the commitments to things like our existing climate strategy. And as I understand it, you'll actually be hearing a bit more about that from BC Hydro in the coming months as well, a partner in helping us to meet our electrification goals. I wanted to also just highlight some of the direct contributions that we've been working on with the City of Fernie and organizations present in the city over 2023. I haven't listed individual contribution amounts, but just wanted to give you a sense of some of the organizations that we've been supporting. In particular, really excited about the Fernie Skate Park, and really want to congratulate both council, but particularly staff. I know have worked very, very hard on securing the funding for that project, and seeing it go forward. It's really exciting to go by there and watch things come together. I actually noticed with the dry conditions we had, there may have been a few rogue skateboarders in there over the Christmas season as well. We'll be looking ahead into 2024 in just a moment, but wanted to point out too that, of course, a issue of great importance to all the residents within the region is water quality. We've continued to work very hard in advance through progress on the Elk Valley Water Quality Plan in 2023. We'll expect to continue more of that, and I'll speak to that a little further in the presentation. Construction and commissioning of new water treatment facilities, and also a lot of work directly with staff, collaboration on monitoring and other elements of water quality for the city. I mentioned on the last slide just our decarbonization commitments with the goal of being a net zero company by 2050. And as I mentioned, BC Hydro is a large part of helping us to make that happen. And my understanding is that they're going to come and meet council in the next month or so to talk a little bit more about those plans and what they might look like in the region. So as we look ahead into 2024, we do see obviously the advancement of the sale transaction. We expect to go according to plan. Continued work on some of those other elements that I mentioned that we made progress on in 2023. We do have some new standards on the health, safety, environment, and community side that will be coming into effect in 2024. So we have a lot of work to build upon, including lessons learned from things like the wildfires in the region last summer. Really excited to continue our community investment program. And we heard loud and clear from Glencore that that's something that they're very interested in seeing continue and perhaps expand upon as they come into this business much more so. And you'll have noticed on the Highway 3, just outside of Sparwood, that we have a new central office that's going up there as well. And we expect to see that construction really accelerate now as we start to get some of the main bones into place. So with that, I'm just going to pass it over to Norm just to give you an update on Teck's Fording River Extension Project, and then I'll pop back up to the microphone just to chat finish off our talk with topic of water.
Okay, good evening. Happy to be here. It's been a while since we came with an update on the Fording River Extension project, but it continues to be an important priority for Teck and will be for Glencore going forward. So make sure I got the buttons right here. You'll be familiar perhaps from our last presentation, but the project is an extension to our existing Fording River operation immediately south, as you can see on the map, and it has the opportunity to extend that operation for decades, extend the jobs and benefits to the region for decades, and as it is permitted and approved and comes online, the existing operations would shift into that new mining area, using the same workforce, the same equipment, the same infrastructure that's in place. I did want to talk a bit more about some of the sustainability features that we've been incorporating into the mine plan. So as mentioned, we continue to work on this project. We continue to refine the mine plan, and there are 4 sort of key features that we've been focusing on. Diverse landscapes. One of the things that we're doing is building in a closure plan right from the start. So plan for what that landscape will look like at the end of mining before we even start. Planning in progressive backfilling and reclamation. So 2/3 of the waste rock generated from the operation is planned to go into existing pits or existing disturbed areas. So a way to really reduce the footprint there. Rory will talk a bit more about some of our water quality work, but we do have 2 saturated rock fills that have been built right into the mine plan. And one of the things we've worked hard to do is to avoid the impacts into Chauncey Creek, which we've heard from a number of people is a number of groups is an important area for us to preserve. Just quickly on the timeline, in February of this year, we received a readiness decision from the Environmental Assessment Office. It wasn't the decision that we had hoped for. It did direct us to go back and do some additional engagement work with the Ktunaxa Nation and with Yakitak Nucleate specifically, and we're doing that work right now. That we support that recommendation from the Environmental Assessment Office, and we're hopeful that we'll come to agreement with the Ktunaxa Nation and Yakitak Nucleate as we work through that, and that. The work that we do with them will be described in our next sort of regulatory submission, which would be a revised detailed project description that we're hoping to submit in 2024. From there, there's a lot more steps in the approval process. There's a few years of pre-development work with the goal of bringing production online there in 2029. So we've got a few years of work ahead of ourselves before we get there, but we're positive about our ability to do that. I think that might be it for me. And yeah, back to Rory.
Thanks, Norm. I do have a couple of slides. I have a sense that I think, having reviewed the presentation, you're probably fairly familiar with some of the introductory information on water quality and how we find selenium in the system. Perhaps the background as well on the formation of the Elk Valley Water Quality Plan, which is, best of our knowledge, is the most ambitious water treatment plan undertaken anywhere in the world. So I'll maybe just flip ahead to essentially some photos of the 2 kinds of facilities that we have for water treatment. We have something that's more of an active type facility, which is housed in buildings and includes a lot of filtration. We have 2 active water treatment facilities, the first and the third photo there. And then we also have a more passive system called a saturated rockfill, the technology that Teck worked with the University of Montana to actually develop and have several facilities to set up there in the second and the fourth photo. But what I'd like to point out is that collectively, those four facilities have capacity to treat up to 77.5 million liters of water per day. And we have chart here on the next page, which shows, although we feel that that's been a great accomplishment to get to that point, we know we have a lot more work to do. And while we've had a fourfold increase in capacity since 2020, by 2027, we expect to have another doubling of that again, and to be able to have capacity to treat up to about 150 million liters of water by 2027. So there are some ambitious plans there. The facilities that we have in place are doing their job, but we certainly need more. And we look forward to continuing to work on those facilities to get them into place in the next 3 to 4 years. One thing that I'll just finish with is we do often hear about transparency of data and of information, availability of information when we get into the subject of water quality and water treatment. And so I just wanted to include in the presentation 3 sources that are publicly available to anyone who would like to see those, including the province of BC, a system they maintain in that second link. And then the third one, a link maintained by the US Environmental Protection Agency. So there are a lot of sources of information out there about water quality, water treatment. They're available, they're there for review, but certainly if anyone has any questions, if you hear from organizations that you work with or any residents that they would like more information, we're very happy at any time to have them contact us directly, and we could certainly get that information for them. So I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to come before you and to share some of these thoughts, bit of a snapshot of the year in review, and look forward to trying to make this an annual opportunity just to share that and certainly on any other topics more frequently as desired by council. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. In the spirit of New Year's magnanimity, I let you go a little bit over. So
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. I'll turn it over to council. Any questions? Seeing none, I had a couple. One is something we've talked about in the past, Mr. O'Connor, is a water quality tour. And I appreciate that, you know, not all of council would be interested, but potentially some staff. But I've had inquiries too from folks around the RDK table who'd like to have a look at the operations and get a sense of the not just the operations, but water quality, the work you're doing. So I'd like to follow up on that at some point and potentially set that up when the weather's a bit more amenable, maybe.
Through your worship, absolutely. The truth be told, one of the things, if I was to do my performance objectives or review them from 2023, that certainly was one of the goals, was to actually do a water quality tour with municipal officials, and it didn't come together, unfortunately, in 2023. Certainly very happy to put that as one of the things that we look forward to. We often find that sort of spring into the summer is the ideal time to try and do that. And perhaps I can work with CAO Bornowski to find sort of a scheduling range of times that might be most appropriate for council, and look to make that happen. Yeah,
and as I say, in the interest of what's the word? I'm gapping on it, but if we can sort of open it up to the RDK and efficiencies, I guess is the word I was looking for, in terms of we can all go at the same time, it might be helpful, and just everybody hearing the same information at the same time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I did want to ask one question about the main stem of the Elk River. And I know that, I think it was 2 years ago at your water quality open house, there was some focus on, I think at the time you were unwilling to call it a trend, but a potential reduction in selenium in the main stem. 2 years on, are we comfortable to call it a trend, or are we noticing a trend in the main stem from all the additional treatment you've added?
Through you, your worship, I am just going to turn that question over to Dennis Kramer, who's online, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Dennis? Yeah, can everyone hear me?
We can.
Excellent. So it's a good question, Your Worship. I would say we have definitely seen the stabilization of selenium levels in the elk, and we are very likely seeing a trend. The one caution I would say is the highest concentrations every year are in April, March, April. And so I would say, let us get through this year. And I'm feeling well, I'll feel a lot more confident.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. I appreciate 2 points don't make a line, but I would be really curious for an update post low flow to see what that trend looks like. So thank you. Any other questions or observations? Seeing none, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate the presentation, and you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. You're free to go. Mhm. This moves us along to item 7.1, a report from our Director of Corporate Services on the AKBLG call for resolutions. Whenever
Thank you,
you're
Your
ready.
Worship. I
Yeah.
will start to share the screen and remind myself how to do this again. All right. So this was brought, start rehearsing. What the heck is that?
Can we take from that you didn't practice this, Mr.
I have
McDonald?
no idea what that's about, Your Worship. That's a really interesting little thing to show up on there. So with that, at the end of October, November, we provided council with the with the letter that was provided by AKBLG with respect to their call for resolutions. So their resolutions have to be in by February 16th. So tonight I'm bringing it back to council for consideration. The direction requested is to advise us if you want us to prepare any resolutions to take to the AKBLG, which will be held in Radium Hot Springs in April 2024. As a reminder, resolutions must have been endorsed by the board or council, and council in this case, be relevant to other local governments within AKBLG. So for instance, selenium from in the Elk River is relevant to more than just Fernie, as an example. Resolutions should include a separate backgrounder that may include links to other sources and reports in order to be into the office by February 16th. In the materials is a couple prior resolutions, the two most recent ones that Fernie has sent on, which was February 14th of last year, regarding the compensation for highway motor vehicle accidents response. And then February 8th of 2021, regarding the PACE program and the Minister of Environment, Energy and Mines. So the council, the direction we're seeking tonight, and I'll move this thing if I can. I don't even know. Apparently start, oh my goodness. Wow, I have no idea what that is. And it was recording it, so it's like, council may direct a resolution for consideration at the either at the January 23rd meeting next week or February 13th. That's when the resolution would come back for approval by council. So that's the presentation, but if it's okay with council, I will now close this and go back to my spot and get rid of that sharing scenario and see if council wants us to consider a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McConnell, and I'll turn it over to council. Any thoughts on resolutions for this year's AKBLG through to UBCM? Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. I was going back through my notes, trying to find any discussions that I felt might be pertinent. And I actually went back to last term. And one of the discussions that was had, excuse me, was around health coverage or extended health benefits for councillors. And currently the system is that if any councillor wants to be involved in the health plan, they need to pay for it themselves. It comes out of their compensation or their pocket. Subsequent to that discussion at council, I had a number of conversations during the last election cycle with potential candidates. And one of the topics that did come up in a few of those conversations was many people in our community, and I'm sure it's elsewhere, can't afford to run for council and can't afford to take on a role such as this because of work commitments. And if they were to reduce their hours to take on additional hours sitting around this table, they would lose their health benefits. So it's kind of a double whammy of not only do they lose their current employer health benefits, but then they would have to pay for them to get them back, so to speak. And so I don't obviously have the resolution drafted, but I'm curious what everybody around this table might think of composing a resolution to that extent of asking UBCM to put together some sort of funding mechanism so that councillors across the province really, or I guess we'll start with AKBLG and see if it gets endorsed there, but having that funding put in place so that extended health benefits are a part of the compensation for councillors and mayor.
Thank you. I'd certainly be supportive of that. You know, as you say, even many of us, myself, not many of us around this table, but, you know, as a retiree, I've had to purchase my own health benefits. And if there were a mechanism that would make it more attractive to attract people to this table, I think that would be of value. And I think that's been a common lament across the province, is getting interest and participation in local government. So reducing barriers would be of value. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, especially a number of the people that I was speaking to were from different diverse backgrounds, and having that opportunity would just broaden the prospect pool or the candidate pool, reduce that barrier, as you say.
Thank you for that. Thoughts around the table? Can we add that to our list of potential resolutions to draft? Okay. I'm seeing some nods. Do you need a formal direction?
No, Your Worship, I think I could work with Councillor Hamilton to draft that and bring that back to the February 13th meeting, if that would be appropriate.
Thank you. I was wondering actually about, you know, we talk a lot regionally about labor shortage and housing challenges, and I'm wondering if there's a resolution focused on the provincial government providing enhanced support for regional transit in rural communities that would allow people to move between communities more readily, to take advantage of employment opportunities and stay where they're living, so to speak, so that they could, you know, in this region, enhance transit, that people from Elkford, for example, could work in Fernie and vice versa, if that were the case. And I just feel like we're woefully underserved by transit in this region. And I think it is a sort of an untapped opportunity. As I understand it, there was an employment study done some years ago that suggested in the South Country alone, there were 80 or 90 individuals who would enter the workforce if they could get to their place of work. So I'm wondering if there's something along those lines, and I can certainly, you know, reach out to regional mayors, including the mayors of Elkford, Sparwood, and our regional district reps down to Area B, and see if they would support such a resolution. Thoughts? Councillor Hamilton?
Thank you. I would certainly be in support of something along those lines. I feel from memory that has been proposed before, so there's certainly some research, I think, that can be done to support that and look at past resolutions from other communities as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I suspected there would be. I haven't looked into it myself, but yeah, that certainly would be a value. Councillor Ramirez.
Fully support, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Worship. So I think under UBCM, it has a resolution tracker that we can go and look at.
Yeah.
That for transportation. And I'm not sure if AKBLG has a resolution tracker, if they just have their resolutions on there. I mean, it's programming. I'm not sure if anybody in that organization does that, but.
I can respond to that, Your
Please.
Worship. The resolutions are up, available on the website, but there's no tool to make it easily searchable like UBCM. So, but really, the goal is to get resolutions to UBCM. It's their tracking tool that we really want to investigate to see whether or not a resolution of this particular type has
risen to that level.
Has risen to that level, and what the response was.
Yeah, thank you. Can we advance that one as well, Mr. McConnell?
I've got a list so far of the extended health benefits resolution, enhanced transit support resolution, and I should say that there's not much staff support available to council to help do the research, but we will do what we can.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, as Councillor Nixon pointed out, that resolution tracker it's searchable. So I think actually Councillor Audie Kelly did a bunch of research on that last year, didn't you? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Anything else? Councillor McIsaac, sorry.
Thank you, Worship. I have an idea for a resolution. It's not particularly well fleshed out yet, and this one's a bit more left field, as it's not large scale from our community, but it's certainly a province-wide issue. And that is the issue with orphaned gas station sites. We have a number in our community. Every community that I speak to, they have a number. These are sites that have effectively become sterilized because of the long-term environmental remediation issues associated with them. And I would like to put forward a resolution that the provincial government consider creating an orphan gas station fund funded by the gas companies themselves that would help in the remediation of those sites so that communities wouldn't have to necessarily foot that bill and make those sites reproductive again. That's going to require a little bit of work, obviously, to flesh out what the wording one like that is. But, you know, in Fernie, we would definitely benefit from that. And I'm confident, I know for a fact, actually, there are other communities that would benefit from it as well.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Yeah, I like that one as well. Other thoughts? Councillor Nixon.
Okay, I have a few. I think we need to ask the province if we can have a MRDT funding overhaul in order to use money towards infrastructure. I think that's Tofino was able to do that. I think we're gonna need to do that eventually. But that's just one. I have another one: public hearing limits with option for binding referendum. Which is, it's kind of just, I was just throwing things out there, but I don't think that's a great one. But so I'm gonna retract that one. You know, the other and another one, and I just was thinking about this as I was going about my day today, and there's another one: right to reside legislation for resort municipalities, so we can potentially stop the purchasing of second homes that potentially undermine our community. But that doesn't. I don't think it addresses the community, the AKBLG community, because there's only 14, you know, resort municipalities in the province.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that impact would be on our community, but I know that around my house, it's very dark most of the week. It's very lit up during the weekends, but which does undermine our community. So another one that I had was overhaul regional district rezoning legislation to create a weighted vote for municipalities that are adjacent to land being proposed for rezoning. So you would have, let's say somebody is creating a development right on your doorsteps, we would have a weighted vote versus other municipalities that are farther away that are also have an equal vote at the regional district. So those are just a few, and I can flesh them out more if you guys want.
Yeah, I wouldn't not support any of them. I am curious about that right to reside. Do any of our sister resort municipalities have such a thing? I know that I think Banff and Jasper do. Yeah, but they're in national parks, and I'm not sure if that creates a different legislative framework. Councillor Ramirez.
Chair's decision.
That one sounds heavy-handed. Your worship.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate the perspective. Councillor McIsaac, did you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I agree with Councillor Ramirez.
Yeah.
That one's a very challenging one to put forward, which doesn't mean that it doesn't warrant public discussion about it. There are issues in resort communities like ours with large amounts of second homeowners, and we have lots of them, and many of them are great and productive community members when they are here and all that stuff, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't be having the discussion on a regular basis. I don't know if going to AKPLG and UBCM is the right forum for that, but it's a worthwhile discussion having. And right now, I don't think any communities can do it because I don't believe there's any legislative support for that. And I think, as you pointed out, Jasper and Banff can only do that because they're governed federally.
I agree. So, yeah. Thank you. Councillor Nixon.
So what I'll do is I'll just formulate these in an email and I'll send it around.
Perfect. Thank you. Does that suit you, Mr. McConnell? Excellent.
Very much so. Thank you.
Good. Anything else? Other discussions? Seeing none, we will adjourn the committee of the whole and move immediately into a separate meeting, which is a special meeting. And we're only 7 minutes over. So we'll now convene the special meeting of council at 7:07 p.m. on January 16th. And once again, acknowledge that the city of Fernie is located within Kukinamakis, the unceded traditional territory of Yakitat Nucleate. We recognize that we live and work within their vast lands. Akanahunik are from Yakitat Nucleate and are members of the Tanaha speaking peoples of British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana. I'll call the meeting to order and ask for a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda. Councillor Hamilton and Councillor Ramirez, any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Brings us to our first staff report, a report from the CAO on the Fernie and Districts Arts Council funding agreement. Mr. Bornowski.
Thank you, Your Worship, Mayor and Council. The report attached to the agenda and the draft funding agreement also attached to the agenda represent work done in collaboration with the Fernie District and Arts Council between a number of staff and their executive director. It represents a formalization and a slight update to the services that the Arts Council has been providing and operation of the Arts Station over the past number of years with flat funding at their presently set rate. It essentially formalizes the service that they've been offering for the past few years without a formal partnering agreement and is timed to coordinate with the renewed lease agreement that has been now announced, advertised, and executed, and is here for your consideration, with staff recommending that it be endorsed and that the mayor and corporate officer be authorized to execute the agreement following the required notice period.
Thank you, Mr. Bornowski. Questions from council? Councillor Nixon?
Thank you, Worship. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think about the subsidization for programming that we have at the Arts Station. I suppose we wouldn't know what their numbers are or anything like that. So we have an idea of per class or per, I mean, we know that it's about 70% subsidization for the pool, right? And I'm just wondering what that rate would be for our community partner at the Arts Station.
Your Mayor and Council, we don't have currently a calculated rate of the percentage of their operating budget that this represents, and the percentage that this would represent then in their programming. But formalizing this partnership agreement or partnering agreement does then provide a series of reporting requirements, and their operating budgets and performance measures are articulated and set out within the agreement so that in the future we can report that to council and it will become regular, the reporting of their financial statements. It aligns with their strategic objectives and mandates, and then also provides reporting measures that we can use to report to the province that additionally support programs that may not be tied directly to this, but help us understand, say, our visitor impact for the RMI program, et cetera. So in the future, yes. Presently, no.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else? Councillor McIsaac.
Thank you, Worship. Just a couple comments. One, this has been a very long time coming, and I appreciate that there have been many challenges of this. I am very hopeful that this particular agreement and agreements like it can become a template for how we do business with other community groups and sort of tighten up our ability to respond to that. I think it's very valuable giving long-term predictable support to FDAC. I think they contribute greatly to the tapestry of our community. And I guess the one comment that I want to make with regards to the actual draft agreement itself is I did think there were a couple places in there where it was a little bit overly prescriptive and things like identifying things like the Wednesday night socials. That may make it a bit challenging for that organization to be nimble in its ability to change programming. Not very much is likely to happen over the next 5 years, but we have seen dramatic changes that have occurred. So as long as our communication with them and this particular agreement and staff as they go back and forth, as long as that can continue to be somewhat nimble, and if they come and say we're not doing the Wednesday night socials anymore because people aren't coming to them, that we're not stuck in another 3 years of negotiating a new contract to figure out now that that's not an item in the agreement anymore. So that was the only sort of comment as I read through that, was that might be a little bit prescriptive, and some of the higher level communication that or wording that starts at the beginning, which indicates responsibility to provide programming for the public and so on, I thought covered it well without going into the nitty-gritty, but that was just an aside.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that observation, because I wondered that myself, and I appreciate the model where the KPIs are moved into an appendix that can then be changed without renegotiating the agreement. And I know it'll be a process of evolution with these agreements, that likely where some of that should stay in terms of the agreement itself not being that prescriptive, but allowing for that, as you put it, that ability to be nimble if something fundamentally changes. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Nixon.
Yeah, just a comment. I do like the agreement. I agree with Councillor McIsaac, being able to be nimble. We never know if there's going to be another global pandemic, right? And I think the art station is doing a great job in our community, and they offer great programming, and my kids have made play there, and all sorts of pottery and stuff like that. So it's great, and they're looking after that heritage building downtown. That being said, it's really good to have this agreement in writing and formalized so we can get proper reporting and truly understand the benefits to our community in the entire Elk Valley, because there's nothing really else like it in Sparwood or Elkford or other communities our size. So, when we release our budget next month, and not being the great Cormac or anything like that, but and potential tax increase, we should all be cognizant of our partnership agreements as well, because I looked at our 2023 partnership agreements, and they totaled $671,000, which is quite a bit of money. So I'm not picking on the art station. It just happens to come in front of us at this time before our budget meetings next month. But we should just be aware of that. And I really do like the art station. I think they're doing a great job. So,
Mr. Boranowski.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to note, and I believe it is mentioned in the report, that there is a reason why the funding is proposed flat, and it is proposed at the amount that was reduced previously when we began managing our spending on more discretionary and community investment services in some ways. And so you will have the opportunity to consider the funding level and inflationary pressures or increases with the budget for council's consideration.
Thank you. And reflecting on both those comments, Councillor McIsaac's comment about I do think they contribute, I think your phrasing was cultural tapestry, greatly to the cultural tapestry of this community, and you know, many citizens take advantage of it. And I also respect that there are varying degrees of comfort, not just around this table, but in the community with the level of support provided to these organizations. And so thank you. It is important that we're aware of that and we're sensitive to that. But I certainly value the services that they do provide, services that are provided by other organizations that we support, and the value they bring to our community in terms of the cultural variation that they provide in terms of the experience of not only living here but visiting here. So it's also very important to keep in our minds. So thank you for those observations. Any other comments? Seeing none, I will call the question and ask.
Do you want me to read the resolution?
Mr. McConnell to read the resolution. Yes, please. Thank you.
I wasn't sure what you said you were going to call the question. So.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
That the resolution is that council authorize the mayor and corporate officer to execute the attached agreement with the Fernie District Arts Council to formalize annual base funding for their operation of the art station and programming as detailed in the agreement attached to this report.
Can I have a mover? Councillor Nixon, seconded by Councillor Ramadas. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. That moves us on to item 4.2, a report from Fire Chief Morgan on the purchase of for the fire department of a 100-foot aerial ladder truck. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. I'm here before you tonight to seek council resolution to authorize the replacement of the current 1999 American LaFrance aerial ladder fire truck, which will reach the end of its serviceable life in 2026. The recommendation tonight is to the council approve the purchase of one 2026 E1 100-foot aerial fire apparatus from Safe Tech Emergency Vehicles Limited at a purchase price of $2,199,000, excluding taxes. Very big number, and so I thought I would give you a little bit more detail on the reasonings why we actually have why we need an aerial fire truck. Give you a little bit more background on FUS, or the Fire Underwriters Survey, and then also a new way of procurement for us using another source. So maybe I'll just start with the Fire Underwriters. Fire Underwriters recommended that all first-line fire engines and ladder trucks be in service for a maximum of 20 years. The current 1999 American LaFrance aerial fire ladder truck was due to be replaced in 2019. But due to the satisfactory condition and exemplary continual maintenance inspections with the ladders, the pumps, and so on, the ladder truck was granted a 5-year extension by FUS to service up to 2024. And that was in our 5-year capital plan. However, with the usual build time moving from 12 to 15 months to 30+ months due to the supply and demand issues, procurement of new vehicle in 24 was unreasonable. In January 23, I applied for another extension due to the updated build time and due to the supply and demand issues. FUS reviewed the application and all testing and maintenance records for the ladder 1717. And in April of 23, FUS granted the city a second extension until the end of 26. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, Chief. Can you help me understand what authority something like an organization like FUS has? So they've granted us an extension to 2026.
Mhm.
If we said Thunder knows at that and said we want to run this till 2030,
Yeah.
what happens?
So I'll get to a lot of that in the future here, but okay, yeah, yeah. And then so FUS granted the city a second extension until the end of 26. Demands affecting fire departments in North America, which I had informed council through a briefing note in April. Thus giving us the opportunity to spec and build a ladder truck over the allotted 35 months that is now sort of on what we have. So looking at FUS, throughout Canada, the most common influence on the design and specifications of structural fire apparatus standards and performance criteria from the Fire Underwriter Survey. FUS is a national organization that provides data on public fire protection for insurance statistical work and underwriting purposes for subscribing private sector property and casualty fire insurers. Much of the organization's work includes evaluating community fire defenses and the prevention and mitigation of fire tasks, or risks, sorry. These evaluations are comprehensive and include an assessment of the municipal fire department, including type, performance, and condition of the fire apparatus in use. FUS then publishes its information through the Public Fire Protection Classification, or PFPC, which is a commercial grading, and then also a dwelling protection grading, which is DPG, and that's more to do with single families or two family residential. A community's PFPC, or the Public Fire Protection Classification, is expressed on a scale of 1 to 10. Commercial insurers recognize these classifications as town grades. Class 1 represents the ideal or highest level of public protection, while Class 10 reflects the absence of any effective public protection. The grades indicate how well the different components of the community's fire defense collectively are prepared to control major fires that may be expected to occur in commercial, industrial, institutional, and multifamily residential. Fire apparatus design and condition and age play a significant role in the determining of the community's final grade. On the other hand, the dwelling protection grade, the DPG, is similar but focuses solely on detached one and two family dwellings. The DPG is a numerical system scaled from 1 to 5, 1 being the highest and or the best. The DPG provides approximate measure of the fire defense capabilities of the community with respect to providing structural fire response to typical detached dwellings. The system addresses a community's water system, the fire department, and the community's PFPC, which is the commercial rating. Then insurers apply a community's DPG grading when, insurers then take that DPG grading when calculating the appropriate insurance rates at premiums for 1 and 2 family dwellings. Most residential home owners and businesses carry fire and general perils insurance, and any persons with a mortgage is required to maintain such insurance by the bank or financial institution. Where a community has a fire department which meets FUS standards for performance, the cost of insurance can be significantly reduced. So why does Fernie?
Sorry, Chief. Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. Are you able to define a little bit more clearly what significant reduction might look like?
Yeah, there's so many variables, but I think so. For example, the city of Fernie DPG is at 2, which is really good. A 1 is excellent, and you know what it takes is what the insurance do is they go to FUS, they look at your rating for your community, and if you're a 2 versus a 1, I'm not sure what the savings is. because they're all so different. All the insurers are so
Mhm.
different. But I would think probably in the neighbor, I can't guess, to be honest. So,
Yeah,
but
probably
could do
best
some
not to
research.
speculate, but the shorthand is to my question, if we don't maintain or improve our FUS rating, every homeowner in town, their insurance rates go up.
That is correct.
Thank you.
And then on the other hand, the PFPC, if that's downgraded because you don't have a ladder, for example, because you have 3-story buildings and so on, then their rating goes down as well. So then their insurance goes up. So yeah, it's all goes to the actual residents and then the business owners' pockets versus taxes for the truck.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So,
Sorry, Councillor
oh,
Ramada. Sorry, Chief.
Sorry, Chief, sorry, Your Worship. To follow up your question there, like, has there been any instances of some other municipality that had a downgrade and actually we saw an increase in expenses for single family homes?
Your Worship, through to Councillor, I'm sure there is, but I haven't done any research to see if any have or not. So if, for example, you decide that you don't want to update your trucks, then you would have to, then your DPG will go down, or your commercial will go down, and then your rates go up. So what happens is, FUS will come around every few years, do an assessment on your town, which is the survey. They'll assess your hydrants, they'll assess all your records for your vehicles. They'll assess what kind of fire prevention program you have. So inspections, commercial inspections, if you're fitting to code, if you're doing plan reviews, all that kind of stuff. And so all that assessment is come together. And then, so Fernie, for example, like I said, is a 2 in the DPG, it's a 5 in the FPC. And a lot of it there's so many variables, like whether you have on-call firefighters or whether you have on-duty firefighters. There's a lot of variables there.
Thank you. Mr. McConnell, you had a comment?
I was just going to point out, if I may, that Fire Chief Morgan, every time you answer a question, you tend to move away from the microphone. So if
I'm trying to get out of here.
Thank you.
No,
Sorry.
no.
Better. I didn't answer your question, but that's the nuts and bolts of it. If you don't keep up with your with all your fire prevention or fire apparatus and all that stuff, then yeah, your rating would definitely go down.
Further?
Just to be clear, Your Worship, I'm in support of this.
Yeah.
Just wanted to follow up with your line of thought there. That's all.
Yeah, it makes sense that if we allowed our service to degrade, that consequently people would pay more insurance. It follows. But thank you. Please continue.
Why does Fernie Fire Department need the ladder truck? In the fire underwriter survey, it stipulates that response areas with 5 buildings that are 3 stories or 5.7 meters or 35 feet or taller. That's sort of where the tipping point is that you need an aerial truck. In Fernie right now, we have 15 3-story buildings and 3 4-story buildings. We service an area at the ski hill that has 23 3-story buildings and 1 4-story building. So in all total, we have 42 buildings that are 3-story or more. Why did we decide to go with SafeTech and choose the brand of E1? We've worked with SafeTech for the last 10 months, pretty comprehensive, doing the spec for it. We figured all the best things that would, and the needs that we'd need for the Fernie Fire and Emergency Services in our community. And after all the research and discussion, E1 aerial product was well suited for the city of Fernie for a variety of reasons. I mean, there's too many to name, but here are a few. A narrow setup outrigger position, allowing the apparatus to set up in a space as narrow as 12 feet. So, and you can see in the pictures there, Whereas, our truck right now is about 17 and a half feet, the outrigger span. So a lot of places we can't get into, so alleyways and so on. So with the more and more secondary dwellings, we were thinking that in neighborhoods where the secondary dwellings are on the laneway, that might be more beneficial for a truck like that. And then also, obviously, with street windrows in the wintertime, a lot more narrow. So that was one of the big advantages for taking this brand and model. The ladder, the aerial itself has a 2.5 to 1 safety factor on the aerial, exceeding NFPA requirements by 25%. So what that means really is that, NFPA allows you to have 500 or 2 people on the end of the ladder. This one now allows us to have 3. So we can actually have more people working on the ladder. Say we're doing rescue, quite a bit easier to have 2 people near the end of the ladder than just to have 1. It's it's an aluminum aerial device as opposed to steel. Many are steel, so obviously lighter and won't rust. Obviously won't rust like steel. They're wider and higher handrails on the aerial compared to others, so obviously contributing to the firefighter safety. Some of the other advantage of going with the E1 and SafeTech is that they have a mobile master emergency vehicle technician who is based out of Calgary. So a lot of these companies, they have their people that can be mobile, but we actually have one through this company in SafeTech in Calgary. And then they also offer the annual pump, aerial, and ground ladder testing. So that's obviously got to be done every year, and so they offer that as well. Obviously for a price, but they do that.
Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. I'm curious if this truck has any other modifications for our climate. I mean, I know you've already mentioned kind of the narrower to deal with windrows and narrower streets, but anything to do with, the cold climate or traction on icy streets, that sort of thing?
Yeah, Your Worship, through to Councillor Hamilton. Yes, we've spec'd it with options that have a pump heater. We also have insulated hoses within the truck itself, and we've also put the option of spot chains on the back, so that going up steep spots in wintertime, it's we just turn the switch and then it just has a rotating spot chain behind the back wheels.
Thank you.
In the last couple of years, SafeTech has delivered fire apparatus to both Cranbrook and Elkford. I've talked to both the chiefs of those communities, but they've said nothing but great things about SafeTech and the apparatus that they've received from SafeTech. Also, E1 is a supplier under the Sourcewell cooperative. So I'll just talk a little bit about the Sourcewell cooperative, the Canoe Procurement Group of Canada. It's a not-for-profit purchasing group. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with it. We've just become members, but they provide public sector entities access to quality and competitively priced goods and service in conformance with general best procurement practices in the sector. Canoe also recently partnered with Sourcewell. It's a service cooperative created to streamline capital purchasing for members. And as a city, recently became a member of the and the fire department, and along with the finance department, looked at this for an option for procurement. After reviewing the Canoe capital purchasing program, staff believe that leveraging the Sourcewell contract to replace the ladder truck is the best interest of the city. Purchasing the E1 ladder truck as proposed under the Sourcewell cooperative purchasing membership held by the city remains in compliance with the policy and would not require an independent solicitation process because the cooperative has undertaken this work already. So best available prices to members of Canoe. So at the end of the day, with the manufacturer and the dealer incentives, and then also the work with Canoe purchasing program, we'd be saving approximately 17% on this particular truck. And so We're saving $450,000 as roundabout. So the MSRP for this 100 HR aerial, the model that we would like to purchase is currently $2,650,600. The recommended source for funding will be through two sources. One is through the mobile equipment reserve. The current ending balance as per the 2023 budget of this reserve is $1,346,368. And following planned annual contributions and budgeted purchases and projected ending balance as per the draft financial plan is $288,017 after that payment is made for the aerial.
So, sorry, Chief. So the shorthand again is this would be paid entirely from that reserve.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what a lot of communities are finding right now, because of the massive increase in the prices of these aerial trucks, is that they're having to actually borrow for them. So in some ways, this is good that we are actually getting it in a couple of years from now and can build up the reserve. Also, the rural fire protection agreement that we have with the RDK through with the ski hill, Cato, and the highway, contains a clause in the formula that calculate RDK contribution to any major apparatus needed. And so basically the funding strategy for this ladder truck will be modified during the 2026 budget process to include either a lump sum by the RDK or a repayment over a number of years by the RDK, or a combination of the both.
Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. Just curious about the, I guess, language around the purchase contract. If we're entering in the agreement now with the prices that you're presenting us, but we're not paying for another 36 months, are we at risk of any price escalations due to inflationary pressures or anything like that in the interim?
Mayor, through to Councillor Hamilton. Yeah, that's a great question. We are, that is the number we will get in 26 in October, regardless. The only thing that might change is if the dollar value changes between a certain amount. So I think it's 1.33 to 1.68.
That's sorry, the US dollar versus
dollar,
the Canadian
sorry.
dollar. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only difference because all of these are built in America, and so.
Further?
Yes, speaking to the currency exchange fluctuation, if the Canadian dollar goes back to parity or something, are we then going to see a decrease in the price, or are we, the language of the contract, locked into that Canadian dollar price?
Another great question. I actually didn't even research that, so I'll definitely get back to you on that, because that is a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, the price is set. Once we sign it, if we sign it on January 24th, which is the date, that'll be the set price. I think they're talking about a price increase of 3 to 5% in February. So.
Yeah, and to Councillor Hamilton's question, regardless of whether the price changes, our purchasing power will change if our dollar is at parity in terms of the United States dollar. So we do come out ahead.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Yeah,
good point.
Councillor Ramanathan.
This is an excellent package here, Your Worship. I just remember from last AKBLG, I guess, where we ran into this gentleman who runs canoe. Just curious, like, are there a lot of municipalities who are using their services? Like, looks like $450,000 on this is a pretty good deal for us. What is in it for them? Like, I know it's not for profit, but I'm just curious, like, how that mechanics work.
Your Worship, through to Councillor Ramadas, I believe, from my understanding, is that it's a bulk purchasing in a way, so that if a bunch of communities, what they do is they source out, they'll source out 5 E1s, for example, and then if certain communities, there'll be enough people that want it because the demand is so high, they'll get 5 communities to go together, and then it's sort of somewhat bulk buying.
Yeah, that makes sense. Councillor Nixon, did you have an operation?
Thank you, Your Worship.
Or,
So just further the canoe, program. I mean, that sounds really good. Are we using it for any other things within our fleet, not specific to the Fernie fire, but?
Thank
Mr.
you,
Burdett?
Your Worship, through to Councillor Nixon. We are in consistent contact with our member of Canoe. And but that's only been for about 1.5 years now, and this is our first successful purchase through them. So I'm hoping there's more and more opportunity as they get their feet on the ground more, because I don't think they've been doing this for too long. But
Councillor Audie Kelly?
Thanks, Your Worship. Sorry, Chief, I just wanted to kind of backtrack because I had asked you earlier about, so this is more about the truck. We're talking about 3- and 4-story buildings, but this truck would be capable of, if we introduced buildings that were taller, or the ski hill did, this truck is capable of looking after those buildings as well, right?
Yeah, Your Worship, through to Councillor. Yes, it's pretty much the ultimate height, basically. I mean, you can go a little bit higher, but even 30, 40 stories, it's the same under it. We meet the specifications under FUS and an NFPA for that aerial truck. So, but yeah, we definitely get 30 feet more reach within the one we've got. So yeah, if it goes higher, we don't have to change anything. So if you're asking 5 or 6 or 7 stories, no, it won't change. We'll still have the same exact rating.
Thank you for that. Sorry, Councillor Hamilton. And as I understand it, it's the same dimensions as our existing truck. Is that correct?
Yeah, Your Worship. It's maybe 8 inches longer. The width is exactly the same. It's just the ladder extends 30 feet longer, and that's all within the scope of the, what do you call it?
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton?
Yeah.
You stole my thunder. That was the exact same question I was going to ask.
Okay. Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Worship. So what happens to our old truck? Do we trade it in to Safe Tech and they give us big discount? What happens?
Oh, we wish.
Yeah, so that's another good question, Councillor. I've researched with Brindley Mountain, who's the main secondhand dealer of fire trucks. Obviously, a lot of communities that don't go under the FUS agreement would take a truck like ours because it's in great shape. It's been cared for well. The only problem is that they're a dime a dozen. I just researched and found our exact same truck, and it was $22,000 US. And funny enough, an E1, which is this company we're going. And so the reason being is that American LaFrance isn't made anymore, and so to get parts it's almost impossible. But an E1 that still obviously is in existence. They have one, a 99, which is the same age, 75 foot, for $89,000 US. So, yeah, like you wouldn't, yeah. But we'll obviously try to. So Cranbrook has got the same truck. They're trying to sell theirs right now, that they've just had out of service, and they're having a tough time trying to sell it.
Thank you, Chief. Councillor Audie Kelly.
Thanks, Your Worship. This might be a silly question and maybe more for CAO and CFO. Were we to donate the truck, would we get any kind of financial benefit in some other way?
That's a very good question, actually.
We don't know. We can explore and look at options. I'm unaware of opportunities to donate a used fire apparatus, but maybe.
Yeah, there are a number of fire programs around the province, educational programs, maybe to a post-secondary institution, for example. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Sorry, was there another question over here? Councillor Hamilton.
I did have my hand up, but I think my suggestion was probably on par with Councillor Nixon's.
Thank you. Okay, Chief.
Okay. Oh, I lost sorry.
Sorry, that's entirely our fault, not yours.
If I may, his last slide is simply the recommendation to approve the, so we, while the dialogue was going on, we chose to kill the.
Okay. Oh, see, it wasn't you, it was them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, authorize the execution of the contract to purchase the replacement ladder truck or direct staff otherwise, and realizing too that the ladder truck won't be purchased until fall of 2026.
Thank you. So additional questions from council? Oh, are you moving?
I was just going to move the recommendation.
Would you read the recommendation?
I will, Your Worship. Thank you. The recommendation is that council approve the purchase of one 2026 E1 100-foot aerial fire apparatus from Safe Tech Emergency Vehicles Limited at a purchase price of $2,199,000 excluding taxes.
Moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Ramadas. Any further discussion? Councillor McIsaac.
Thank you, Worship. One last question. Is the new fire truck still under the same 20-year timeline? Like that's how long we expect it to last for?
Your Worship, through to Councillor McIsaac. Yes, it will be still 20. So the recommendations by FUS have not changed. And so your first line truck still has to be 20 years. So we'd get 20 years from the 26. And I won't be around, but I'm sure that chief will ask for a 5-year extension.
Councillor Nixon.
Okay, so thank you, Worship. When is our next truck due to be replaced? And I mean, we're going to leave our reserves to be depleted, and then it says in the report 2027 we'll start rebuilding them, right? So when is that next pumper truck going to be?
Yeah, Your Worship, through to Councillor Nixon. Our next truck is due in 2032.
Councillor Ramadas.
Just a thought, Your Worship, this is great for community safety for sure, but it also supports if we ever want to go vertical. I don't want to use the word densification. It feels like chicken coop, but yeah, going vertical, this will definitely help us.
I appreciate that observation. Councillor Kelly.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at earlier with Chief, because if we're going to have to go up, we want to be able to go up and not lose our rating.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other comments? I just wanted to comment, Chief. One, thank you to the department for maintaining the existing fleet so well, such that we were able to, without affecting our FUS rating, which I now understand. Yeah. Thank you. So well that we could push it out until 2026. So thank you for that. And I wanted to thank staff and our finance department for managing our reserves such that, given the risk management you've done in terms of the price for 2026, which you've contained the risk as much as you can, that we can pay for it from reserves, I think is an excellent piece of financial management. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So I will call the vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. And that brings us to the point of adjournment at 7:49. Got you out of here at your hard stop. Will you be fishtailing out of the parking lot?